Well, good morning. You're watching Morning at NTV. Time for us to take note. I'm Flavia Tumusime. Over the weekend, I attended the Fashionpreneur Summit, and there was a discussion about intellectual property. And yes, even I really should have known better, but I've heard intellectual property, and I think it flies here and there because we live in a country where you have an idea, you share it with someone, and before you know it, they have done it brilliantly, and you are still having it on paper. Or you have a product and its likeness has been copied here and there. So I thought, why don't we understand intellectual property, even if it's just the template of it, of what it is, the basics. At least we can get to know and bridge and have the conversation deeper next time. Joining me for that conversation is a senior associate at ENS Africa and from the Uganda Law Society in the Intellectual Property Cluster, Bernard Mukasa. Saying honestly, intellectual property, as like intellectual property expert. Let's just.
I'm not an expert, but you can say IP.
IP.
Shortens it.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, Bernard, you had a conversation around corporate governance and intellectual property, and I think the intellectual property conversation got me because I said I'm in the creative industry, but even I don't really know that much. So, for someone watching, especially for those in the SMEs, what is intellectual property?
So, intellectual property is a form of intangible property that is as a result of our creations, our inventions, our artistic creations, our symbols, names that come out of basically our mind.
Okay.
So it's from the mind originally, so it's intangible. So every time I think of something innovative and I come up with it and develop the concept and translate it to maybe a thing which I've developed or a piece of drawing on paper or an art piece, or a song, or a play, all that is intellectual property because I've put some critical thinking in it, and it's come out of my creativity, my artistry, or my innovation.
Right.
So that's the sort of thing that's intellectual property. So we have all these types: trademarks, trade secrets, patents, utility models, copyright, geographical indications, plant breeders' rights, traditional knowledge and expressions of folklore. They're all forms of intellectual property. So it's amazing. It can be individual, it can be group. I mean, like traditional knowledge is about culture and the things you can come up with as your culture that are so ingenuitive that they can say no one else can do this.
Let's break that down for people because it was interesting for me to know that you're saying that if the Baganda say, for example, the way you cook the matoke, you first put it in a few things and then eventually cook it. If the Baganda decided this is ours, this is our thing, no one else can do it. We started this, it's our thing, and the way we do it is ours. They can actually because if they just show the creativity that goes into cooking matoke that way and they came up with it, then everyone who cooks matoke that way should give credit to the Baganda for but then which Muganda? Would it be Mukasa? Who would
well, of course, then it would probably be the best place would be the kingdom.
The kingdom.
I know now they have the brands, Majestic Brands, which is like the commercial arm of the kingdom. So that would be a good start for all these things, matoke, back cloth. I mean, so guys, if their chapati is so nice that there is a way they make
there's like a technique.
Then you go with that and the masoga, you just say it and say, this is our thing.
So this, people are understanding what intellectual property is. But here's the problem, because I know that, for example, I know that the Baganda will do it uniquely. Or someone will taste something and say, it's made by. Because automatically they just know that. But no one has gone through the process of actually registering it and figuring that part out. Why do we never get there?
Why do we never get there? Because people don't know these things. So it's very important. Intellectual property is like land. Land is land is tangible, but intellectual properties can be as valuable as land, or even more valuable. So we just need to go through the value creation process to bring it from just being my creation, I've written a few lyrics, to making sure I earn from my creation. Because guess what? That's the only way. If we take it through the whole step of registration and earning out of it, it's the only way. One, we encourage people to keep creating, to keep being innovative, to keep writing, to keep acting. The humanity rests on innovation. Someone one day invented a bicycle which you just stand on, another one added a wheel one day, another one added a chain, another one added pedals. All those guys were innovating over the years. Someone said one day, hey, if this thing goes up to the sky, can't we sit in it? And now we have a plane. So you have to keep encouraging innovation, and the only way you can encourage innovation, creativity in humankind, which makes our lives all better, is to let people, first of all, develop, and then earn from that benefit from their developments. So there has to be a value creation process, and the only way you can do that is to first of all identify your creation. You have to identify your creation. Create.
What is it?
What is it? Is it a trademark? Is it a patent?
Yes.
Is it a copyright? So when you create and then you identify, then you move on to the next step and register. All that is value creation. So you register, then you say, how do I register this? The information is all around us. So here in Uganda, we registered the Uganda Registration Services Bureau. I mean, they have a very nice website, www.ursb.go.ug. It has all the registration
So they would
processes.
tell me if in this category, this is what it needs to be.
They will tell you. You can even go there, their Georgian house. You can go there and tell them, oh, guys, I've come up with this thing, but I don't know what it is. Because that's the first point, identifying what it is.
Exactly.
I mean, everyone says, oh, I've developed a patent, when someone has a trademark, when someone has an industrial design. So I help you identify. Then they'll advise you on the next step of how to meet the registration processes. Some are more complicated than others. Trademarks are more straightforward. So if you've developed your trademark, it's a mark, logo, or device, you just need to get it together and register it and fill in a form and pay the fees. For patents, they may need to be, you may need to involve a lawyer, a patent attorney to do the technical part of drafting what your patent is. So you have to bring out the claims and then basically show us the creation process. So most times the guys who create the patents don't know how to do that on paper. So that's why you go to these guys who are patent attorneys, and then they help you draft that on paper, and that's what they'll give you a patent for. Copyright is easier because for it, as soon as you've created something and expressed it, written it down, sang it, you already have the copyright. But the extra step of registration is just to help you enforce your rights and to have evidence that I have copyright in this. But guess what? The date on which you created, the date, if I write here some lyrics and you feel them, that today is the day when I've got my copyright. So even if I register it in January 2019, the day my rights, it's the start of this day. So between then 2019 when I register and now, I still have rights when I eventually register. So that's the beauty about copyright. So
there are three examples. For example, today we have a lot of vloggers. People who are putting content on YouTube. And slowly but slowly, because it's all over the world, but Ugandans are starting to get into it. And I'm telling you from a point where I work on TV, we pay for content. Content is value, right? And someone is out there putting their content, and everybody can watch it, and they've forgotten that this is
something they can earn from. A simple example is music.
Someone sings a
song. Every time a Bebe Cool or a Chameleon or a Shiba song is played somewhere, they should be able to earn from it.
Even me who plays it on my phone, I should be paid.
You see, Apple you buy from iTunes, but Apple we're just getting from One Day Gear, from Cementi. That's wrong.
That won't end.
We're killing our musicians because there is no value proposition for them. But they also need to get up to speed and say, how do we enforce this value proposition? These are our works.
But you see, it's hard to earn if, so for example, you're a vlogger and you're saying, I just want to be known. And for like the first 2 years, I'm trying to get out there and be known.
And then put your content.
All you're doing is putting content out there, and someone could use the same content, because I've seen on YouTube especially, there's some Ugandan YouTube channels that get content of other people, edit it their own way, put their logo, and it's theirs.
And that's wrong.
That's wrong, but you see, there's no...
You're trying, okay, I know, I get the argument. You're trying to develop yourself, put yourself out there, but you need to also value that development process. So let me take you away from vlogging, because I'm not a really tech person. Now, if I'm developing something like a unique door handle that pushes, that you need to just press your finger, I'm putting in this time in my garage there, coming up with different concepts, I tried the first time, didn't work. Like on the 10th time, it works. So eventually one day it's a big hit. But how about that time I invested in the product development? So you see, I didn't just say that, oh, you know what, since no one can believe that I can make a door handle, let me just give it to some companies for free, like Sekanyola and what. No. That means you're not valuing your own time, your own effort, and your own creativity. So you need to take the chance. Even when, I mean, what's the harm? Yes, put your content out there for free, but have indicate that this content is copyright of this. Go and register the concept.
So Metalworks, someone is doing some Metalworks for me, and the design is not of Google. They've actually
put some creativity in the design. They take that design and go and register it at URSB, so that anyone who copies, I mean,
if they don't, and someone passes by my house and says, "This door is where?" And they just say, "Let me take a picture." Let me go.
And that's why many people are crying in regret. They see tile designs like this one, and then
they're
say,
like, "That's mine.
That's my design." People are registering these tiles, tile center everywhere. They're registering their tile design. Mattress companies are registering their mattress covers. Imagine the design in that. So you can imagine. So the value proposition is immense. You just have to value it from the time you put in the work to develop it.
If I take a picture of the mattress at Bernard's home and I go, Bernard forgot to register his idea, and can I go register it?
Yes, you can register it. But if it's if it's copyright, he could prove that he developed that concept before you, and then he'll. A
lot of SMEs don't think to bookkeep, to sort of keep records, and so.
Now that's where it goes, record keeping. So if I have a catalog here and I'm saying, today I had the first draft of my script, and I have it there. Today I'm on the 4th draft. Tomorrow I'm the 5th draft. So someone, even if they stole my bag in town and someone said, that script is nice and brought it to NTV, if I come one day and they're just saying that copyright, and the good thing with intellectual property of all forms, at some stage in the registration process, you have to make a publication of, the registry tells you, lodge this publication.
Put out there, yes.
We are going to award this copyright, this trademark to this person if no one objects within 60 days. So you also, in that 60 days I see it and I'm like, oh, Flavia is...
This looks familiar.
This looks familiar. This concept was mine. So I'll come and then they say, you'd show me your copyright certificate. I say, I registered it. And I say, but I developed this thing before this date. And I have this and this evidence to prove it. I've impugned your copyright.
All right. So we're talking about intellectual property for SMEs. So you have an idea. You think of something. And then you go ahead and do this. It could be for a product or a service. It should be yours. So there's value in keeping records. On the 20th, I wrote this idea down, or I drew this dress, because some of you are geniuses to a point. You have your own design, and you go to a website person. Then the person who did the website for you owns the idea.
I mean, kids at university, they develop all these software for these awesome things.
Yes.
Then they go selling it. It can be the lecturer, or it can be I'm taking it to MTN. This product can change your life. MTN. MTN says, okay, we are not interested. Then they take the
leave it here. We'll think about it.
Someone else develop this same thing. Before you know it, they're rolling out the product.
And you can't come back to cry.
You can't come back.
You can't come back to cry. So keep records.
How do we help those students to keep innovating? They're doing brilliant stuff. I've been to some tech hubs. Outbox, where the guys are doing brilliant stuff, but we have to protect them from being exploited.
Definitely. So speaking of that, let's now talk about the process. I'm in Uganda. I have my idea. I have my wonderful product. What steps am I going to go through in this country? In this country,
the Register of Intellectual Property is the Uganda Registration Services Bureau. So the first step after you've created something, after you've come up with something, is to go to the Uganda Registration Services Bureau or a lawyer. And then you identify the type of intellectual property you have.
Okay.
Because there's so many types. Then when you've identified the type of intellectual property you have, you find out the procedure for registration. So and the costs. People say the costs are very high, but they're staggered. You don't pay everything at once. I'll just use trademarks as an example. So if I have a trademark, I have to pay such an application fees first, which is 25,000 and 50,000.
This is to do what? To
lodge it.
Okay.
That's the date of filing my application. So that's 75,000. That's all. Then at that stage, it goes through formal and substantive examination, and then after a while, they'll give me my publication notice. Then you have to go to Uganda Gazette to pay the publication fees, which are about 300,000. But some time has passed, so you see, by that time, probably you've saved the 300,000. If you don't have it, you can stay with your publication notice until you have it. Because guess what? The date of protection will be the date you lodge the application. It's the most important step. Then when you've got the publication, you pay your 300,000, it's put in the Uganda Gazette, 60 days, you're saving now the registration fees. The registration, after 60 days, if no one has opposed your application, you pay 100,000 to get your registration certificate. So this is a process of about, 60 days, about 2 months, and you don't have to pay all the fees. It comes to about 400 and something thousand together, but you don't have to pay it at once. So the most important step is file your application, because the date on which you file is the date your protection starts, except for copyright. So file your application, get the filing fees, the first filing fees. Then the other fees to complete the process you can get. People complete registration of patents after 2 years.
Yes.
From when they first filed. So just file, protect. And if you don't have the money, you think you don't have the money to invest in the protection of your idea, then that means you have not put value on your idea.
Yeah, I think if you're thinking, but Bernard, I don't think like there's something in my business that honestly needs to be, it's not, there's no intellectual property here. There is. You've noticed that you go to certain restaurants and the food tastes so nice, but because someone in the back there has mixed a few things.
Like a spice,
here and
this
spice,
amount of habanero sauce.
and they know they can see it and they know it's here. That's a good idea, because one investor like is going to come and taste it and ask in passing, and you're going to say, you just mix these two things and three things. And before you know it, you can taste your food somewhere else. That's when you'll know that there's value in it. So you've talked about cost, you've talked about you have to create it. Once you've created.
Create, recognize, protect, and then now that's the first part. Create, recognize, protect, and maintain. Maintain means if you've paid the fees, I mean, the different types of intellectual property expire after different periods. Pay the renewal fees. So just keep it maintained, maintained. But now that's the first part. You've created your intellectual property. The next part is to commercialize it and value from it. You know, because that's how we can develop a culture of innovation. That's how we can attract resources, create jobs, and all these things. It's an entire ecosystem. So commercialize it. How do you commercialize it? So when you've got your brand and it's big, if you've got a trademark, if you've got a copyright on a song, start earning from it. How do you earn from it? Sometimes there's strategic partnerships. You can license it to people, license your music, license your trademark, license your patent, get money for other people using it. You can get into joint ventures with other developers to make it better. I mean, you can just put it on your product as you're investing in marketing and advertising. Invest in your trademark. It's at the forefront of everything. A business card, a bottle, it's there, because that's how people will identify you and add value to you. So you create a whole value chain of it and use it in different ways and earn money.
Okay. I think before we get to you, you must tell us a story about the people in GMB. But commercializing also is in saying that here, I have this. It's sort of brand awareness. One must know it exists. Because I think people don't know it exists. People don't know. Someone someday might come and do it. But there's also what you were saying, that what you're creating today, someone else has probably created. You just have to add. You just have to, I mean, because we're just improving on creations. As I gave the bicycle example, we're just the car example. Look at the evolution of the car. We're just improving. You'll be surprised some of the patents. So they reward innovation. You're looking at a door handle, something as simple as a door handle. And you're saying this door handle does this and this. Someone invested in that. So you're saying, if I do this door handle, develop it this other way, put a nut here, put a screw here, it makes it easier to open a door, maybe for disabled people, maybe for what? You've put some thinking and some creativity to improve a way of life. And it's useful to everyone in the world, so you should be rewarded for that. And you said that. You said that when you're registering intellectual property, there's that question of whether it's useful. It must be. Don't just create because you like creating. So you know, I've created this door handle and it's not useful. It can't even open doors, just inconveniences people. Then it can't be registered because it's not useful. So like for a patent, it must be new first of all. So new necessarily doesn't mean new from scratch, but new from what's there already in the field. It's different. Yes, it's different. Then it must have industrial applicability. It must be able to fit into the industry. I mean, if you bring it into mattress or this or a device for movement and it's a car, it must fit in there. And then it must have use. It must have use. Otherwise, it's useless. You're don't create a door can't open, but looks nice. It's just complicated, and anyone can use it. No. You were sharing a story over the weekend about someone in Chiembe to sort of show intellectual property. Yes, so I think I shared too many stories, so I'm trying to remember. Was it the seamstress or something like that? Yes, the seamstress. So she had created all these designs with kangas and what, and they were so beautiful. It's the way she was mixing her material, and then she started with her one is it a charani? Yeah, so she's taking these designs out, making these Bazungu famous things and what. So some guy comes and places a big order, like to take before she knew it, she's seeing pictures on the internet. Someone is sharing them that they're exhibiting her works at something, a fashion show in Germany. Yeah, but they don't say it's your work. They don't say it's her work. So this guy is exhibiting works by Kanga and what made by some poor woman in Chiembe. He's the one, he bought from her a big consignment. So now he's probably got guys, other designers to of course copy the concept and make it. Before you know it, there's a Kanga design fashion show in Germany. There was a backcloth exhibition. Yes, someone complained about somewhere in Europe, and guys were fighting. Backcloth is not there in Europe, and there's an intrinsic
process in making back cloth, and guys here are the ones who know it. So why shouldn't those guys earn from it?
Yeah, but let me just say this, ladies, and I think you know this, even guys, you wear suits. Ladies, we get a design off the internet.
Yes.
Right? And say, I want this dress, but in this and this, or add a collar, add this, add this. Is there intellectual property in there? Who has the intellectual property? The original designer?
Well, it depends on how much you've changed on that dress.
Right.
So you could just get the dress off the internet and say, I want this dress, and the guy that
exactly
makes it, and maybe they just added like a flower here and what. So that should be that person's dress because they invested in that design. But some of you guys are so creative. You will get that dress, just put on a hem here, one shoulder, one cut, one sleeveless. So the thing is completely new, and you've actually thought about it and invested. That's your intellectual property. So even if you're instructing the tailor, the tailor will do it, but the copyright is yours because you're the one who came up with the idea. So you've commissioned the work. You know, there's certain commissioned works. Like if NTV tells you, Flavia, oh, we'd like you to sing a song for our anniversary, we'll give you 500,000. And because you're so good at writing songs, you come up with some nice concept, and they use it for their anniversary, and it becomes like a big hit. It's a song. They have the copyright because they commissioned the work. So you have other rights. So there's copyright, neighboring rights. So you have some rights, and you earn from that. But the main copyright is theirs because they commissioned the work. So everyone earns. Like in a play, if I have a script, everyone can earn. Because I have the main copyright, I came up with the play, but someone else is going to produce the play, someone is going to act, someone is going to develop a DVD, someone is going to sell the DVD. All those guys should be able to earn. But me as the mother of the entire concept, I should have earned first before these guys who add value to my concept earn.
I think the biggest problem is not knowing.
The biggest problem is not knowing.
Yes. And as a wind up, there's where you're saying that rights tied to location, is it?
Yes. And so, of course, intellectual property rights, many of them are territorial. So you have to register where the protection is where you register. So one, there are national systems in every country. So you can register in Uganda at USB, you can register in the Kenyan Bureau, you can register. But then there are also international systems which give you a wider scope of protection. In Africa, we have the African Regional Intellectual Property Organization. So you can register there and then designate it to different African countries. And say, oh, my products will go to Zambia, I want protection in Mauritius. Then you designate it. There are international systems, World Intellectual Property Organization, there's the Patent Cooperation Treaty for patents. So you just study those international systems, and depending on where you want to do business, you enter them and then register in those relevant jurisdictions. But otherwise, you can't get protection where you didn't register. So
if I registered my idea here in Uganda and it's mine, someone can take it in Switzerland.
Yes.
And I can't do anything.
If they register there in Switzerland,
What? The world is still not fair.
It's still not fair, but that's the thing. So if your idea, as it grows, you need to monitor it as it grows. So if your idea is growing and the product you developed you thought was for the Ugandan market, but as it grows, you're seeing in East Africa they're using it. Some guys are taking it to the bus to Rwanda. Go quickly and register in Rwanda. I mean, these guys who are earning big from intellectual property, like the Hilton intellectual property portfolio is about 1.something billion USD, but they've invested in protecting it. They had no hotel in Uganda until recently when they entered.
And I'm sure it's protected here.
But they've had trademarks registered here since 1988.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Wow.
They have trademarks registered in all countries. So it's just about believing in your thing and monitoring it as it grows. You're like, African market has improved. Hotels are coming up. I have a hotel trademark. Let me go and register it there before someone starts a courtyard somewhere. You know? So you just have to monitor your idea as it grows and keep protecting it as far as possible.
All right. Fantastic. I think this has been quite valuable. Create something, but protect it and also find economic value for your idea. So don't just make it sit there because you created and you're genius and you brag to your neighbors sometimes. No. Create and, of course, protect it. Thank you so much, Bernard Mukasa, from ENS Africa and also part of the Intellect IP cluster at the Uganda Law Society. That's it for Take Note.
Sorry, just before we finish, as part of the Intellectual Property cluster of the Uganda Law Society, we provide certain services which include IP awareness, IP pro bono services. So you just have to keep watching the media. Whenever we have events, We have an IP day where we get all the IP lawyers in Kampala and we sit there at the railway grounds and give free advice.
What?
The last time we did it, there were so many students, most especially, and that was so encouraging. Because if these students are creating and they can recognize the need to create, maybe we've lost a certain generation, but this one,
we can save these ones.
We can save these ones. So yeah, look out for all these initiatives. The Uganda Law Society itself has a pro bono clinic, legal aid clinic. They can get access to us, the IP lawyers. We're still few, but we're growing, and it's a very interesting area, and it's very critical for third world countries.
Yes,
yeah.
Fantastic. Well, that's it for Morning at NTV. Have a good day.